Okay, and we're here for the last video of the new Krieg army box set, and that is of course Lord Marshal Dreir. So with this video, the video of Lord Marshal Dreir, that's one video. We did an individual Death Rider, that's two. We did the Engineer with his new mine, that's three. We have done the beautiful new artillery boost, including all weapon options, and we've even squeezed in the new Arvis Lighter done in the Krieg color scheme, all in the last week. So that's quite a lot of Krieg content. There will be a little bit more coming out in the very near future when the new command squad, the new heavy weapon team drops. Heavy weapon team will be one video, but there might be 2 or 3 videos mixed in with the command squad because there's so many unique characters in there, like the Commissar, the Banner, and of course the Marshal himself. So maybe those will be separate videos. We'll have to wait and see. But as of right now, we are now finished the Krieg box set. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the journey. Hopefully you're going to continue on getting your Krieg painted up and get those awesome forces on the table. So of course, like I said, today's video is going to be painting Lord Marshal Dreir, and that's what we're going to get stuck into. Before I do, just a big thank you to all of my active patrons and everyone there supports Mediocre Hobbies in the myriad of different ways that it is possible to do so. Without you guys, I really could not continue doing what I'm doing. If you want to get involved yourself, check the link down below to the Patreon. That gives you access to a private Discord server where you can talk to me on a daily basis about your hobby and get involved with all the different events that we hold over there. And you get an extra video every single week just for you guys. For instance, the Engineer and the portable mine were a Patreon exclusive video last week. So if you want to see how to paint those, that's where to go. All right, guys, without further ado, let's dive in and get this Marshal painted. So here is the beautiful new Lord Marshal Dreir model, the new, obviously, Commander-in-Chief of the Krieg forces, and the character from the new box set. He is beyond stunning. He's obviously a named character, Death Rider. And yeah, he's just such a cool character. In his lore, he of course leads from the front, which is a very confusing tactic for most of his kind of higher ups. When he and his task force get assigned to fight alongside other guard regiments, they are in shock when he leads the cavalry charge straight into hell. And it has become quite a strange occurrence that he continuously survives the battles. Granted, mostly wounded, lost a foot, probably been shot a couple times, stabbed a couple times, but it is what it is when you're a commander-in-chief of the, of course, Death Korps. Okay, so I did a skeleton horde for the horse, and then I gave it a dry brush of Carrick Stone. And then I'm going to push this color a little bit further. Obviously, this is a character model, so it's basically the Death Rider color scheme, but we're just going to push it a little bit further, a little bit nicer. So we're going to go for Screaming Skull, and we're going to go for another light dry brush over the horse as well. Just to once again catch those raised details and make his mount stand out just a little bit more. After that, we're of course then going to move on and start adding all the extra details and start blocking in those colors with contrast. His uniform, the big beautiful red sash that comes down from the saddle, and all those other bits and pieces. So obviously it starts with Space Wolf Grey, and we are applying that to his uniform. Now obviously he's got a large great coat over the top of him. Kind of surprised he didn't have a breastplate, really like ostentatious. Most of the old Marshal miniatures that I know from the Death Korps of Krieg range have like big ceremonial breasts. They're really cool looking. This guy does not. And I figured like a cavalry master would have one, but I don't know, just didn't seem to be included. So I'm not too upset about it. I just think it would have been really cool. So going on from here, we have Wildwood, and we're applying Wildwood to all of the kind of bridle and saddle and all the other bits and pieces on this guy, every strap, the pouch work. There's a couple of like tubes on the back of him as well, which are, I think they're like leather, but I'm going to do them in black leather as well, just to break up the quantity of brown, because there's quite a lot of it on this guy, including like belts around his waist and stuff like that. Obviously, a large portion of the base got done with some Wildwood as well, just to start blocking in those colors. Black Templar was then introduced. It's very simple. This is the gas mask on the horse, all of the pipe work, and the claws on the horse, because these horses have claws. These are cloned horses, in case you were wondering. And then obviously like those tubes and the scabbard for his saber. Any other details you think might suit, you know, being filled in with black boots and stuff like that. Skeleton Horde once again was brought back out, but this is for the gas mask on him. He's got some wraps on his wrist, and his gloves basically are done this color. Once again, it's another very quick step, but I wanted to blend in with all the other Death Riders that I do have, and that's the color that they have. Now here's how he stands out. Blood Angels Red is then introduced, and this guy has got quite a lot of tassels, ribbons, and obviously a big beautiful one that comes down off the horse's saddle. I really love this like touch. It's so beautiful. And I just decided to do them all in red. I really wanted that like red standout detail across the model. So some of the bits in the example that Games Workshop painted didn't do the parts in red, but I decided to just go for it and do them all. And I think I made the right decision. It looks pretty cool. I was quite happy with the final result of all the red detail. I do go into a lot of work with the red in the layering stage, so you will see for yourself how it looks. Lead Belcher base, of course, now brought in to lock in all of the metallic. So he does have some armor, van brace, wrist, shoulder pad, helmet, some of the detail work on the horse, even some bits on the base, the discarded shell, and the helmet of the dead skeleton, of the dead trooper that's on the base as well. All those bits and pieces done in silver. Blade of the saber. After that, we are going to move on to the gold, and then we're going to use Retributor Armor Gold for some of the other nicer details. Obviously, the beautiful handle of the sword. Full Aquila going on down the front of the horse's armor. There's a stylized Aquila on the Marshal's head himself. And then just a couple of other bits and pieces around the model. Just go and search out some of the trim and detail. And get that blocked in with the Retributor Armor Gold. Taking my time not to hit any of the blue or any of the other details. Okay, with all of these colors in place, I believe we are now ready to start shading the model. And for this, we are going to go for Seraphim Sepia. And we're going to apply this to the entire model except for the horse. We've finished the horse with the dry brush and stuff like that. So every other part of it, all the red, all the gold, all the blue, black, brown, all those bits and pieces are going to get hit with Seraphim Sepia. You don't need to do the base. Some dry brushing will fix that off. When you're looking at the base now, you will notice that the rocks and stuff have been done in Mechanica Standard Grey. Any of the skulls and stuff like that are done with Skeleton Horde. I painted the shell with some silver and gold paint. Any other bits like that, the barbed wire got a coat of silver as well. Just simple details like that. I tend to not go into how to paint bases too much in videos because everyone's going to do them differently. I added my custom AK Interactive Dark Earth texture paste to the base, helped blend in that scenic base with the rest of it. When that was fully dry, I then dry brushed all of that with the Rise of Rust. A nice orange tone, I think, really does help with the Death Korps soil. The idea of there being lots of iron and lots of old rusty stuff in the soil. Years and years of campaigning and fighting over certain areas has left the ground like that. After that, we're going to go in with a light dry brush of bone across the base as well. Catching all those details, even the wood. Even the rocks and stuff like that are just going to get hit with that, and this will help once again blend it all together. It's a really nice base coat for the base. We rimmed it black, and now it's time to start layering the model. We're going to start with the base Fang, or the Fang base paint, and we're going to obviously layer up his jacket. We're going to go in for a nice kind of stippled, not too crazy, not too clean looking model. We're going to add some texture to this jacket. Now, I am going to do a stage at the end where I add just a little bit of weathering powder to the model as a whole and then spray that with a little bit of varnish, but I didn't get footage of that. It's just something I've started to do with, I've been doing with Krieg vehicles for forever. Ever since I started this army, Krieg vehicles get hit with weathering powder and get blended in. But larger than infantry models I started doing it with the Ogrins. I did it with the Death Rider previously, and they turned out great, so I wanted to continue on and add it to this guy. Like I said, he fights from the front, so he charges across no man's land at the head of hundreds of Death Riders, obviously churning up a lot of soil, so he's not going to be pristine and clean, not like the prancy Lord Solar model. This guy is a soldier first and foremost. Okay, now time to make that red look really nice. Obviously, we started with the contrast and that was shaded down. So we're now going to go through the 3 stages of highlighting. We're going to go with Fist on Red, Evil Sun Scarlet, and Wild Rider Red. Those 3 colors are going to be used for doing a base coat, a mid-tone, and a highlight. Now, we've already kind of done a base coat contrast, so it's going to be 2 layers and then a highlight, really. Just because I really want this detail to pop. I want you to see this guy across the table, and I want the red to really be the standout feature because there's not a lot of red across the army. So when you see red, you know it's an important color, it's an important model, or it's an important unit, and I think that really helps. Coming in with the 3rd color here, and you can see I'm going really light with it. Very much stabby motions and just going very light on the areas. Just add that really kind of punchy highlight. I think it looks really nice. I shied away from the final highlight from the Games Workshop Triad for a long time. I always thought Wild Rider Red was far too orange to highlight red with. And it's only recently when I've really been learning with the Tooth & Coat's range of paints that I've been trusting the Triad, that when I've gone back to Games Workshop paints again, that I am trusting their triad system and going for those crazy highlights, and it has been working a treat. So that's, I suppose, a takeaway. Trust the process a little bit more. Going in with Corvus Black to highlight all the black details. Back to the silver, Lead Belcher to highlight all the metallics. That goes for all the gold sections and all the silver sections. It's also really important to highlight the blue parts. Obviously not the jacket, but the horse armor and then the chest, the snout, and the armor up on the top of the horse. Those are all painted blue to match the Krieg color scheme, but they are armored panels. So adding a little bit of silver around the edges of those panels and stuff, just add a little bit of chipping. A little bit of Carrick Stone to highlight the kind of wraps, the gloves, and the gas mask of Lord Marshal Dreir himself. That will be the final touch for me, and this will call this miniature finished. Lord Marshal Dreir is looking pretty sweet. Really happy to have that model finished off. I nearly have the first squad of 5 new Death Riders painted up as well. So I really am churning through this box set and loving every single model involved in it. It's such a cool set. I would have been tempted to get multiple, but because it's a limited kind of collector's edition box set with limited codex, it's one of those things where I don't really like trying to get my hands on multiples of, even though it's a really good saving. I'll leave it for other people and I'll just buy the miniatures separate when they are available. So a little bit of waiting to do, but I think it will be worth it. A couple of still images to give you guys an example of what he looks like on a tabletop. We'll really finish this guy off and then we'll go over to the outro now. Lord Marshal Dreir is now 100% complete. I can remove him from his temporary stand and sit him at the front of this force. Obviously, I still have a bunch of models to paint from the box set and I'll be working through them in my own time in the next couple of weeks. So if you keep a focus on my Instagram, check it out over there. I'm sure you'll see all these models finished up in the very near future. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a like, make sure you comment, and make sure you subscribe. Those 3 little things cost you absolutely nothing and make a huge difference on how many people get to see these videos. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end. I'll see you in the next one.